Welcome back, everyone. So as you know, in December, I created this video here and I was complaining about the fact that Sora wasn't available in the UK and Europe, and I'm still annoyed by it. If you get yourself a VPN and set yourself up in the US, you can have access to Sora. I've been playing with it for 2 days. Let's see what's happened. Okay, so you go to Sora through Sora.com. And it first brings you into this featured page, and really the cool thing about this is you can see what other people are doing, and in many cases, if you click on it, you get a view of the prompt. This one's in Spanish, I believe. So a robot tortoise. Quite sure why you'd want a robot tortoise, but there you go. And in here there is tons of stuff. I mean, you know, people have clearly been working very hard to produce some amazing videos and have got very skilled at it. This owl that looks like a pineapple, how cool is that? Pineapple owl hybrid bird shuffles back and forth on a tree branch. It's very, very cool. And you can see that this software is able to produce some very, very cool things. Got an elephant baking. Some of these, I think some of these very natural pictures are really cool, but I guarantee they spent quite a lot of time perfecting these particular videos, and you'll see why when we look through the ones that I've been playing with for the last couple of days. Very nice. This is what makes me jealous about this not being available in the UK, because I know there is talent here in the UK that will be able to produce stuff that is as good as this, and they don't have access to this tool right now. So let's have a look what I've been up to. So started off with a giant underwater palace illuminated by glowing coral, which mermaids gracefully swim through. I'll put all the prompts I used. As you can see, we lost one of the mermaids there on the left hand side, but you know, certainly something pretty, and it's got most of it. Watch this mermaid disappear into thin air. Here I was going for a sort of sunset and samurais fighting. Again, pretty good. I like this one. Most of the time the mechanics are working. Oh, leg went a bit wobbly there. Generally pretty cool. I was pretty pleased with that one. This was me trying to get a sort of time-lapse going, seeing if I could create a time-lapse picture of robots building a city in a desert, etc. And I think we've got the city and we've got robots. I'm not sure we've quite got the time-lapse. That was a bit of a fail. Here I was saying sort of forget about physics and come up with something, a dreamscape, something bonkers. It certainly did that. Looks like one of those Yes albums from the 70s, doesn't it? And here we've got some space stuff. And the really nice thing is that the bioluminescence that is on the planet and the two moons are reflected quite nicely in his visor. Very cool. Can do some very clever things. I mean, I will moan a bit about some of these videos, but in reality, being able to produce this from a simple prompt is still amazing. Okay, so I want a sort of car chase in this, and so we've got a cyberpunk, and a car joins the road. As you can see, fortunately, the cars sort of merge into each other, so when there's lots of moving parts, things don't go so well, but you get a feeling for what it is. And I think if you tried very hard, reduced the cars, that sort of thing, clipped out the bit that you wanted, you could get away from those things where it doesn't quite work. And this was a fight between a steampunk battleships with flames and steam and all that sort of stuff. Well, there's somebody dancing on the deck there, but I think the flames are good, and the smoke, you really get a sense of it, and it's certainly in the clouds, and you can see the steampunky type stuff. Cool, like that. This one's even more steampunky. Yeah, very cool. And here I was hoping to do something with the light. And so ask for something, the Vikings preparing for battle with the Northern Lights. They seem to be walking in the water. There was one where the boat seems to be sinking. But, you know, you get the sense of it. And I think with all of these, if you are prepared to spend some time, you can, let's have a look at what we've got here. We've got a dragon blowing fire out of its neck and chest rather than its mouth, and the sword seems to be creating sparks, but you can see what it's trying to do. I think if you try multiple times to get the idea that you want, you will eventually get to something that that works. So a chase through the jungle, certainly got a sense here of wetness and chase, and I think there's a jump. Yeah, there's a jump in here. Very cool. And here we have lions under a tree in Africa. So this is playing, and these particular lions don't do much movement. So actually, it looks really good. There's a head moves in a moment. There you go, just to show that it is a video, which is good because on this one, where you've got a bit more movement and the lion cub over on the left decides it wants to have a play, suddenly becomes its mum, and then its mum joins his sister, and they all become one lion. Not great. So as you can see, doesn't always get it right. This is one that was, I think it found quite difficult. So this is a ballet dancer on a roof, and you can certainly see it's trying to get the movement. I think it loses the legs every now and again. Sometimes the legs are not quite in the same place as they should be with the top of the body. Underwater, I think this is not a bad one. So a diver with some jellyfish looks pretty good. But in this one, the diver has a bottom and just a hand. Not so good. And fair enough, it gets it wrong. There's a peregrine falcon. So it certainly does sky well. I think the falcon is really cool, is really good, and I like the zoom in like that. I asked for slow motion, that's what we've got. Here we've got a child playing in a park, parents. This is quite nice. It's very cool. Wasn't always so good. In this one, the child sort of grows a bit older, becomes the mother, and produces a baby. Thank goodness it's not that easy. And here, a creepy haunted house. It's actually got a person in it who looks a bit creepy as well, dragging bodies. There's one that's a little less, hasn't got any people in it, so it's a little bit more cinematic. Yeah, it goes through the rooms, gets the right sort of idea. Back to my samurai stomping around in the wet, enjoying the sound on his feet after a battle, looking a bit annoyed. Cool. There's rain and fire. I like that. That's really cool. Here we've got this was a cybernetic assassin, but you can see how you can create sort of futuristic type pictures, and the assassin, there's a little skip there, which is quite nice. And you see the reflections of the lights and the windows. Very cool. Very cool from a prompt with no artistic flair whatsoever. So underwater, shipwreck with some fish and a jellyfish. I think it likes jellyfish. Put bioluminescent creature in, you get a jellyfish. Seems quite cool. But they weren't always as successful. Here we got the jellyfish turns a little bit into a fish when it's moving. So it's acting like a fish, but looking mostly like a jellyfish. A spooky abandoned carnival. Pretty good. I think you'll see that some of the gondolas jump around a little bit, but on the whole, pretty good. This was me trying to do a professor This professor's got hair. So professor walking through an enchanted wood and asked it to go over its shoulder. That's pretty cool, isn't it? You can see the luminescent plants in his glasses. I like that. That was good. In one of these, he actually gets his hair back. Probably a bit more like me. Okay. A monster with a melting candle. He is absolutely mesmerized by the candle. Got a bit of wax on his neb. A bit more action from the monster. There he is. And so this one's quite cute. This is rendered as papercraft. So the coral and the seahorse are all sort of papercraft. And you can get that. Oh, it's got another head. That's not so good. I think there's one that is really cool. There we go. You do get that sort of papercraft version. And I like the sort of jerkiness of the seahorse. Looks like it's been made out of paper. Very, very cool. And these are pirate ships fighting each other in coffee. Now, yeah, I mean, there is some sparks coming out of the front end of the pirate ships. The coffee is certainly, you know, the fact you've got this liquid that's moving around, it looks like coffee, and the steam coming off it. Yeah, very cool. See a lad on a young man on a fluffy cloud, reading a book, enjoying his book. Cool. Quite like this. So obviously you can ask it to do it in a different style. So this is historical footage style, bustling life in the Californian gold rush. You get that sense. Some of the mechanics. So it actually works better on the wider shots. I think the wider shots are, you know, that's pretty good. As long as you're not counting the legs on the horses all the time, that wider shot, you can certainly get away with it. And of course, you could cut out the bits that weren't quite right. Like that, like the fact that you're able to sort of change the genre. Have a look at, so this is mammoths walking through snow, snowy meadow. You've got the fur blowing. It's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty cool. And here we've got a stylish woman in Tokyo walking down a neon lit street. The physics work well. It's good. This is a bit creepy. So we've got an alien walking around New York, not really being noticed, goes onto the subway. Yeah, and there we go. So that is what I've been playing with for the last 2 days. I thought I'd show you. I think you've got to work at it. You've got to put the effort in to get out what you want. Now, let me just go through what you can actually do with this. So you can add documents, and I tried adding documents and tried to get it to use sort of picture of me and then ask it to do something, and show you. You can add a document, added a picture of me, and then you ask the video to do a picture of me turning round, and it does a pretty good job. I'm not quite sure I look the same as I really look. In fact, maybe a bit younger, but not a bad job. And you can edit the prompt, you can view a story, you can cut it, you can take bits out, remix it, blend it with another video, or loop it. Down here, you've also got the opportunity to preset the video. So archival, film noir, etc., cardboard, papercraft, which is really cool and useful. I tended not to use it and rather put this in the prompt, but because you can especially if you're doing quite a lot, and I've done quite a lot. If you're doing quite a lot, then you leave it on, and then you end up having to rerun the prompt again when you take it off. So I left it off and just put it in the prompt. You can choose the resolution. So I've done all of mine at 480p, but you can do it at 1080p. The trade-off there is that it's slower. So I chose the fastest because I wanted to get through quite a lot. You can choose the length of your videos, the duration. I chose 15 seconds for all of mine because I thought it felt like that gave us enough time for it to show us what it was doing. Some of the shorter ones, you don't get a lot in them, and so you don't get a sense of whether it's worked or not. And I want to keep the time down a bit, so I didn't go for the full 20 seconds. You can choose how many videos it produces. I've got it now set on 4. I think it's useful to have multiple versions because there's no doubt some of them go a bit wobbly, others are fine. So you can have it on 4. You can ask it some questions. Then you've got this storyboard approach, and effectively you can put some prompts in, or you can add an image. You can then move along 5 seconds and either add another image or another prompt. I tried it, and yes, it didn't work beautifully for me, but I'm prepared to accept that I'm not super skilled at using it, and this might be a tool where you can get some real benefits from the software. So that's Sora. Is it the worst thing in the world that it's not available in Europe and the UK? Probably not, but it's more about the principle. It's more about the principle of technology not being available to us here. This technology is moving quickly. We need to be skilled at it. We need to understand it and get the ability to use it. We need to be able to know what to do to make the most out of it. And that comes with time and practice and playing with the software. So Sora isn't the end of the world, but the principle is, and we absolutely need to change that. Now, I have the pro version of ChatGPT, so I was able to spend an hour basically blasting out pictures and videos on Sora and didn't get to the end of my limit. If you're on the $20 account, then you do hit your limit relatively quickly. But on the pro account, it was fine, and I didn't have a problem. So will I be using Sora every day? Probably not. I might use it to generate some B-roll. I think it's interesting. I think it's impressive. It's certainly not perfect, but then nothing is. And as we know, this technology will only get better. Tell me what you would use Sora for. Or if you have been using it and you have some prompts that were just amazing, then put them in the comments below and we can all have a go and see what it produces. I think if we can learn from each other, that would be really cool. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please bang me a like and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell, and then you'll get notified when any new videos are out on the channel. I've been the Professor. Lovely to see you. Bye-bye for now.